When it comes to finding peace in our lives, peace is not something that comes through trying to attain it, but rather peace is something that comes about as a natural result from letting go of that which is blocking our peace. What defines most of our lives is an incessant effort in trying to get this, or trying to get rid of that, or trying to make this happen. It's this constant striving energy. And when you think of the energy of trying, the energy of effort, what's implied in that is that you need to work towards it. It's something that you don't have right now that you need to work towards acquiring. It's essentially a lack of trust that if you don't try to get it, it won't happen. But when it comes to peace and genuine, deep well-being in our lives, it's a completely reversed game. And so many of us miss sight of this fact. But the energy of trying will keep something ever out in front of you. Trying is the kind of energy that once you become accustomed to it, you will always be trying for more. When you try to get good at something, and then you eventually do get good at that thing, you will then be trying to get better, trying for more, trying for more. I remember a couple years ago I published a book, and in publishing that book, I wasn't trying to write this book. I had an innate desire. And what I did to allow that desire to become manifest was I sort of relaxed into the flow of it. And as a natural result of relaxing into the flow of that desire, the book wrote itself. Now, if I tried to write the book, that would apply a type of resistance. It would apply a type of tension. I'm trying to make this thing happen. But when it comes to peace, peace is something that is a natural state that by letting go, you return to. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what it means to let go and why so many of us miss sight of this understanding and awareness that it's by letting go that you're able to accomplish what previously you were trying to accomplish. It's said that when a fruit is ripe, it falls from the tree naturally. And you could think of the falling of this ripe fruit as you returning to a sense of well-being. Do you think the tree tries to make the fruit drop? Or does the tree feed the fruit with energy until eventually it lets it go? It lets it go, and the ripe fruit is a result of the tree letting go of that fruit. Now, so many of us are scared of this whole idea of letting go, in thinking that by letting go, you're giving up, you're throwing in the towel, where if you want to get good at, let's just say, skiing or something, you wouldn't think that letting go of trying to get better at skiing is how you get better at skiing. But letting go is this very subtle understanding that it's your effort that applies resistance and tension, and that tension is the thing that gets in the way of the very doing of the thing you're trying to accomplish. Now, a way that I love to demonstrate what it means to let go and how letting go results in a natural elevation into a higher, more harmonious and positive state is you think of pushing a ball underwater. Like if you ever had a floaty, a bouncy ball or something, and you try to push it under a pool, you know how it creates all this resistance. It's pushing back, and the ball, as you try to push it down under the water harder, it pushes back with you with an equalizing force. Now, the very pushing of that ball under the water is, in a way, the same thing and synonymous with us trying to accomplish this or that. Where if you feel a certain way and you try to get out of it, you're pushing the ball under the water. If you see somebody and you kind of have feelings for him and you try to make stuff happen, you're pushing that ball under the water. And what results from that is resistance. It creates resistance. And the reason you're pushing that ball under the water, the reason you're trying so hard is because you don't have faith in yourself that it will happen naturally by letting go. So as you push that ball underwater, when you feel a certain way and you don't want to feel it, you push it down. You push it down. You think that by applying effort and exerting force, you will get what you want. But as you push that ball underwater, you're pushing yourself further away from peace and equilibrium and mental clarity, which is the prerequisite for coming into that place of serenity, that place of natural, effortless well-being. And now let me ask you this. If pushing that ball under the water implies applying effort and resistance and force, and by doing so you're moving further and further away from a natural state of peace, what do you think is required to allow you to come back into peace? What do you do to get that ball to come back up to the top of the water, which is where it naturally wants to be? You let go. You let go of the ball, and the ball naturally comes up to the top. Now when comes back up to the surface of the water. Now when you think of negative emotions, so many of us, myself included, when we're faced with negative, difficult emotions, what we feel inclined to do is try to get out of them. We don't want to feel it. And the same thing goes vice versa for positive emotions, where we try to get more of it. We try to keep it. But the very trying creates a sort of wall of imprisonment where you're staying within it. If you're thinking certain things that you don't want to be thinking and you try to not think of it, try not to think of a white rhinoceros, what you do is you imply it. By pushing it away, you imply it. These things are naturally flowing. And what we do, as I stated in the beginning, is we get in the way and we think that it's our very effort and will and force that causes us to move through it. But it's actually entirely the opposite, where it's by letting go and, in other words, allowing, that allows us to come back into a harmonious state. This is something very powerful that I've been learning about my own emotions and my own well-being, where when I feel negative emotions, for years I was in this pattern of trying. There you go, period. I was in this pattern of trying. Effort, resistance. Trying is synonymous with effort, where when I felt a negative emotion, I tried to get out of it. I shouldn't be feeling this. I'm far too spiritual to be feeling angry. This is absurd. I shouldn't be feeling this. I gotta get out of this. I gotta distract myself. I gotta meditate my way out of this pain, and all this sort of effort and applying resistance and tension. And what that does is it causes your whole being to begin to restrict and constrict and saying, I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't feel this. So in essence, what you're doing is you're calling yourself dumb in a way, where when you feel negative, when you feel down, and you say, I shouldn't get out of this, I gotta try to get out of this, you're calling your entire mind, body, and spirit dumb, and you're saying, you shouldn't be feeling this, here, let me, the ego, work my way out of this. But if we could try our way to happiness, or try our way out of negative emotions, or try our way to getting better at things, or try our way to accomplishing what we want, we would all have what we want and feel what we want to be feeling. Because we think if it's as simple as just trying, just try. Try to get out of it. Try to be happy. Try to get what you want. It doesn't work like that. Our body is so much more complex and, in a way, counterintuitive of what the intellectual, rational mind believes is the way to what we want. So when I'm feeling negative emotions, what I've been learning and practicing recently is let go. Stop trying to get out of it. Stop resisting. Stop fighting. And by allowing, by appreciating and acknowledging the state that I'm in and saying, you know what? This pain, this sadness, this anger, this confusion, this nihilism, you're allowed to be here. You're here for a reason, and I've come to understand that the very presence of these emotions is them wanting to come out of you. It's essentially like a dam becoming dislodged. And when we try to get out of it, not only are we insulting ourselves in this sort of unconscious roundabout way, but essentially what we're doing is we're damming it up. It's like somebody that you don't like is walking through the room, and they're walking by and they're on their way out. And what we do in trying to get rid of our emotions is when this person we don't like walks through the room, we say, no, hey, I need to have a word with you. You shouldn't be here. You're not allowed in here, and I demand that you leave. Get out of here. When in reality, they were on their way out. They were on their way out already, but by us trying, and which is also us not having trust in the natural flow of the universe, what we're doing is we're occupying ourselves and prolonging that state. We're keeping ourselves in this perpetual cycle of resistance, trying, effort, lack of trust. But in reality, if you just step back and allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, it moves through you. And like the pushing the ball under the water analogy, by letting go, what you're doing is letting go of the ball. And when you let go of the ball, you move naturally, spontaneously, and effortlessly from that negative state into a more positive and harmonious state. Now, the duration of time that it takes to move into that state of equilibrium is up for interpretation. It's going to take different times for these emotions to transform, but the key still remains. And what that key is allow. Get out of the way. Stop trying. When you are laying down in bed at night, when was the last time you tried to fall asleep? You probably don't even do that anymore. I mean, maybe when you were younger or something and your parents were like, go take a nap. So you lay down and you're completely alert, wide awake, and you're like, no, mom said I need to take a nap, so I'm going to lay down and try to fall asleep. And all that does is keep you more alert than ever. You're trying to fall asleep. When you lay down at night, I'm sure that you don't try to fall asleep. You relax. You let go. And naturally, through letting go, as a natural result of letting go, you fall asleep. Are you trying to breathe? That would be silly. You're not trying to breathe. It's happening naturally. And the reason it's happening naturally and effortlessly is because you trust that it will happen. It's the same with laying down and going to sleep. I've heard Alan Watts say that every step you take, you trust that the ground isn't going to fall out from beneath your feet in that step. We trust. We have faith, and it's in trusting, which is kind of the same as letting go, that the energy resolves itself. So when you're feeling negative emotions and you try to get out of it, all you do is create more resistance. I have a beautiful example there was one time years ago I worked as a landscaper, and I was told to go and get this tool out of the work truck. And this tool just so happened to be at the bottom of a heap of other tools that I didn't need. So what was my immediate thought of how to get this tool? Well, I'm impatient and I'm trying to get this tool and all of these other tools are in my way. So what I did is I grabbed the tool on the very bottom of this pile of tools and I started reefing on it, trying to get it out, pulling as hard as I could, trying. I'm really trying to get this tool out from the bottom of all these other tools. But I was applying all this force and I was pulling my back and hurting myself and getting myself all flustered and worked up. And then suddenly it dawned on me. I said, oh my God, what I'm going to do is I'm going to effortlessly move every single one of the tools that's in my way, and then effortlessly grab the tool that I need, and then effortlessly put back all the other tools. Now, yes, this might take a little bit more time, and like I said, the duration of that transition of emotional state is different in different situations, but nevertheless, in going about it in that effortless and honestly wise way, I spared myself my own mental well-being and my own physical well-being as well, where I wasn't trying to get it out. I just naturally moved the things that were in the way out of the way, and as a natural result, I got the tool effortlessly, and it didn't cost me anything. It's our very force that perpetuates the cycle of negative emotions. Now, when it comes to letting go, this plays itself out in so many different fashions where, in a way, we're afraid to let go because, like I said earlier, it's almost like it implies like giving up. If you're trying to learn how to ride a bike, for example, you don't try to learn how to ride the bike. Eventually, you get on the bike and you try to ride it, you ride it, and you fall. And then you get up and you try again and you fall. And you get up and you try again and you fall. And then all of a sudden, seemingly spontaneously and naturally and of its own accord, one time you don't fall. And you didn't acquire this new skill of by trying. You didn't say, I'm going to really try this time. What you did was you kept at it. You kept believing in yourself. You kept having faith that it will naturally happen. And you may not have worded it yourself in that kind of way, especially when it's something like learning how to ride a bike, which is something a lot of us learn early on in our childhood. But nevertheless, the idea still remains that all that happened was you kept working at it, and then eventually it just happened. You didn't suddenly you didn't try your way into how to ride the bike. It just happened naturally. And force is something that will get in the way of our lives time and time again. By forcing, we're implying a lack of trust in the process. You know, you think of like, I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. You see somebody and you kind of have feelings for them. You think they're cute or whatever, and you want to talk to them. You want to like go on a date or whatever. So what you do is you suit up with your willful ego and mind that has a desire and says, I want this person. So what you do is you suit up and robotically you walk over and you say, hey, what brings you here? How are you doing? It's all this weird robotic effort. And what that effort does, you think you're doing yourself a favor by applying effort, but what you're doing is you're clouding yourself where the beauty of who you naturally are isn't able to manifest itself in that moment. And what it does, what results from that is a weird, robotic, seemingly forced interaction. You're trying to make them like you. You're trying to be cool, trying to be funny, trying to be impressive, trying to be whatever. And the very energy of trying is, in a way, an insecurity. And where that insecurity is born, guys, is fundamentally from a lack of trust that the universe has your best interest in mind. And that if you just let go and allowed and trusted in the same way that when you're laying in bed at night, you don't try to fall asleep, you trust that it'll just happen. And in the same way you trust your breathing process, and in the same way when you walk, you trust that you know how to walk, and when you're driving, you trust that you know how to drive. If we could apply that to every different field of our lives, we would experience a natural and immediate liberation of energy. And that liberation of energy being moving from negativity up into positivity. Trying and force only gets in the way. A lot of the time, the way this manifests itself is you could think of life like water. The beautiful teacher of water, which in so many different ways, time and time again, will show as an analogy, a metaphoric symbol of how we relate to life. You could think of trying as coming up against that water with force. Now, you all know what happens when you come at water with force. It equalizes and pushes you right back. It pushes back in equal proportion to the extent that you pushed at it. When you apply resistance and force to water, it pushes back. But think about if you come to water with peace and relaxed muscles and a lack of trying and a lack of intensity, it lets you into it naturally. It's natural. Water is yielding and will receive you when you show up to it with peace and a collected mind and relaxation. You could go into it. I remember one time I was at the beach with my friend, And there were these huge waves crashing on the shore. And my friend was telling me to like dive into the wave. And he did it a numerous amount of times. The wave was coming and he just pointed himself right at it and went right into it. Whereas me, on the other hand, when this wave came, I was scared to like dive into it. I was afraid. I didn't trust the ocean. I didn't trust my own skill in doing what he was doing. So what I did is I braced. I said, oh God, here it comes. And what happened was it knocked me on my ass. It knocked me over. And I remember he came out of the water and I was tumbling around in the wave. And he's like, dude, did you just like face that wave with all your brute or something? Because I like faced it. I was like, you know? But my friend, on the other hand, he just went into it. He just went into it. And our life is a spitting image of this example, where the more you try to be happy, the more you try to get what you think will make you happy, the more you try to push away what you think is making you unhappy, the more you perpetuate the cycle of those patterns manifesting themselves in your life. Just think of the energy of trying. I'm really trying to be happy. I'm really trying to find peace in my life. I'm really trying to get good at this sport. I saw this person, man, and I had feelings for him. I really tried. I really tried as hard as I could to get this person to associate with me and like me back, but they didn't. I guess I just didn't try hard enough. The energy of trying is this almost, it's silly. It's elementary. We're trying. Trying equals lack of trust. And what it means to trust is the same thing as when you lay down in bed at night and you trust that you will fall asleep. If you could trust the universe to that same extent, you would stop trying so hard to make this happen and make that stop, and what would happen is a natural relaxation. In like massage therapy, a lot of what's going on is in our life we accumulate all this tension, all this restriction and constriction of our bodies. You look at people walking down the street and they're like walking like this, and you can just see the years of pain and torment and honestly trying just on their face. And you think about your shoulders and your back and your face muscles and your legs and your torso and everything. It's in a massage, there's so much, you're pushing against it. You're pushing against it. And what the massage therapist shows you in working their magic is they sort of relax that tension out of you. It's by relaxing into it that it naturally dissolves. Now this begs the question, why are we so afraid to let go? Why do we feel so compelled to try so hard with everything we do? I'm really trying to do this. I'm really reefing that tool out from the bottom of all the other tools. I'm really trying. You know what I mean? I'm really trying to look good. I'm really trying to be cool. I'm really trying. I mean, I can tell you right now, when I'm making these videos, the more that I try to make the video, the more I get in my own way of what I'm actually even trying to talk about. There's something that naturally wants to come out. It's a natural expression. And by trying, also known as not trusting, I get in my own way. You think about like when you're sick and you feel like you're about to puke, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna puke, but I don't wanna puke, so I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try to not puke. And you create all this tension and all this fear and anxiety and stimulation that just makes it so much worse. I forget who said it, but they said we often suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality. And the imagination aspect being the quality of ourselves that's trying so hard. Now, on a really deep level, the reason we fear letting go, the reason we don't trust in the innate unfolding of our lives is because we essentially think to ourselves, who's gonna get things done if I stop trying? The ego is under the impression that it's by its very will and effort that anything even gets done. We always take credit for what the universe is doing naturally. And we would be in so much more peace if we took note of the fact that it's a natural unfolding. And all we gotta do is sit back, relax, and allow. Now, this doesn't mean hard times won't arise. This doesn't mean anger and sadness and grief and depression and anxiety and fear. It doesn't mean that all this stuff won't arise, but what it does mean is we don't prolong its presence in our life because we trust that that emotion is there for a reason, and the reason it's there is conducive to our well-being and to our healing. It's all a natural unfolding. Now, the fear in letting go is in thinking that you're letting go of your responsibilities. You know, I had an experience a few years ago where a relationship that I was in ended, and it absolutely broke my heart. And I went on for 2 years or so just heartbroken, distraught, thinking that this other person completed me, and if they complete me and they're not there, that must mean that I'm incomplete. So when you think you're incomplete, that means, oh, I gotta be sad all the time because they're not there and they're what completes me. And there came a window of time where I woke up one morning and I didn't care that this person wasn't there. And you'd think that after 2 years of deep depression and despair, that me no longer caring that they were there or not would be the greatest relief that I've ever experienced. But you know what? It actually scared the shit out of me. It scared the shit out of me because I'd essentially become married to my suffering, where I thought that me despairing this person being gone was a hallmark of my love for them. And if I were to not care that they were gone, that must mean that I don't actually love them. So in this weird way, I wanted my pain and my depression and my suffering because I thought that that was what signified that I actually loved them. So I held on to my pain and I didn't want it to go. I tried to go back into the pain. But see, our pain leaving us is natural. And in a way, we become loyal to our suffering. You think that if you let go of the heartbreak, that you don't actually care about them. Where if you're fine that they're there or not, or like not even like a relationship, but even just like a family member or a pet that passes away, if you become okay that they're gone, in a weird way we can convince ourselves that we don't actually love them, we don't actually care for them, and if I did care for them, I'd be despairing that they're gone. But this isn't true, and this is what keeps us in that dimension of trying. I'm in so much pain and this is a sign that I actually love them. And when the pain wants to go naturally, because that's what emotions do, is they come and they go, and it's a means of teaching us. When it starts to go and we have this understanding that if it goes, it means I don't care anymore, I've given up, we hold on to it even tighter. You think of like loving something so much like a pet. You love a pet so much that you squeeze it to death. Or you're caring for a garden. I've done this before. You're tending to a garden and you care so much about it that you're so on it that you smother it and suffer it. We need to let go. We need to stop trying so hard. It's okay to go after what you want. It's okay to apply your sort of desire for things and go after it and do what you feel you need to do in order to make it happen and in order to make it manifest. But man, that energy of trying needs to be compensated at least a little bit with a trust in the innate flow of things. Where, have you ever noticed that a lot of the time, like let's say you're desperately seeking for a relationship. I want a relationship so bad. Oh my God, where are they? And everybody you see is, are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Are you my soulmate? Are you the one? I'm gonna really try for you because, oh my God, it's this scarcity mentality where I need to try to find my soulmate. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? And you know what? They never come. They never come. And if they do come, it ends up being a toxic situation because you were so desperate that you were willing to settle for somebody that isn't even good for you. And if you were in peace, you would see, this person is not good for me. You know? And then at one point you say, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. I don't care if I ever have a relationship. I'm going to just live my life. I just want to live my life and become happy and content on my own. And boom, just like they just pop up. They just immediately, you know? Haven't you noticed that before? That when you stop trying for something, then it happens. When you stop trying to get everybody's attention and approval, then all of a sudden you want it. But it doesn't even really register as something important because you don't want it anymore. You don't care. Isn't it funny how that works? Our effort and our trying is getting in the way of the actual happening and accomplishing of the things we want. When you want something, go after it by all means, but stop thinking you have to try your way into it. The ego is kind of akin to sitting in a car and God, the universe, is driving the car, but in the passenger seat you have a little plastic steering wheel. And when God turns this way, you kind of mimic it. And then you give yourself credit for it. You think, you know, like a little kid, like I'm driving the car. But actually God's driving the car. And what we're doing is we're thinking that it's our will, our ego, our effort that is getting the things that we want. But it's completely the other way around, where if you let go of that wheel, God takes over. You know, Jesus takes the wheel. Don't let go of your wheel while you're driving. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is stop thinking that it's your effort alone that gets things done. Try it. Try relaxing into the moment. If you want something, it's okay to want it. But stop trying so hard to make it happen. Because it's not your trying that makes it happen. It's the natural flow of your desire and your intelligence in bringing that into your life. It's not about will. You think of like when you're looking. What's the difference between looking and really looking hardly? I'm looking really hard. What's the difference between listening and really listening closely and intently? The only difference is the ego trying to do what's already happening naturally. You're not seeing any better by trying to see. You're not hearing any better by trying to hear. All you're doing is adding a whole nother dimension of stress that's completely unnecessary. So the essence of this video is to tell you, relax, let go a little bit, float downstream, allow what you're feeling, allow the process of what's happening to happen. Become a ripe fruit. Allow yourself to ripen. Stop trying, a flower is growing. What do? Do you go out and do you try to force the blossom open to say, oh my God, it's so beautiful? Or do you sit back and you watch and naturally it grows? That's what our peace is like. That's what our happiness is like. That's what accomplishing our dreams is like. It's a natural thing that will come into your life quicker the more that you trust the flow of the universe. So try developing a closer relationship with the natural, effortless, and spontaneous way of life. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, do me a huge favor, and before you click off this video, like this video, and if you want to see more content like this, leave a subscribe on the channel so that anytime I upload a video, you can see more content like this. So with that said, I will see you all in the next video.